A bill has been reintroduced by Marco Rubio that looks to take away people's rights behind the scenes related to the Second Amendment if you've been investigated for something that they don't like. That's right, no probable cause, no arrest, no charges filed, and no conviction. We just don't like it because you were investigated. Want to know more? Stick by and watch this episode of Guns and Gadgets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. I apologize, I haven't been here for the last couple days, but sometimes family issues erupt and you have to do the right thing. So thank you for sticking by. Let's talk about this bill that was reintroduced by Marco Rubio. This bill was dangerous before. It's even more so dangerous now, and I hope to explain it to you in a way that makes you realize this. But let's get into the bill. The bill's title is the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act, and it was resubmitted this week. He formerly had submitted it last session, and back then the bill number was S1778. I'm not sure of the number as of yet, but it's resubmitted, which means it's the same thing. So I'm going to put on the screen right here the bullet points from Marco Rubio's own website. So the bill is being sold as a way to make it harder for suspected terrorists to purchase firearms. The bill would also provide more authority for law enforcement agencies to go after suspected terrorists while safeguarding law-abiding citizens' Second Amendment and due process rights. And now I'm telling you that that's not what this bill will do. Let me explain. Back here on Rubio's website, these are the bullet points. It says the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act would consolidate all federal terrorism investigation intelligence under the Federal Bureau of Investigation, strengthen the FBI's capabilities, and making sure dangerous individuals do not fall through the cracks. 2, it would require the FBI director and the JTTF, which is the Joint Terrorism Task Force, to be immediately notified of any request to transfer a firearm to an individual who was the subject of a federal terrorism investigation within the last 10 years. When an individual who was the subject of a federal terrorism investigation within the last 10 years tries to obtain a firearm, allow the U.S. Attorney General to delay the purchase or the transfer for up to 10 business days, and file an emergency petition in court to prevent the transfer. We're going to violate somebody's Second Amendment rights because we have a hunch, and then we're going to go to a court to hopefully get a judge that will agree that we're okay for violating this person's rights for the last 10 days. Then if the court finds probable cause, again, if the court finds probable cause, which means there hasn't been any probable cause, there isn't even mere suspicion or reasonable suspicion, let alone any type of arrest or anything else, right? So if the court finds probable cause that the individual is or has been engaging in terrorism, the AG may arrest the individual. So we're going to violate somebody's constitutional rights, their civil rights, and hope that after the fact, after we're violating them, we can get a judge to agree to arrest them. Guys and gals, that is not how this works. If you don't know anything about probable cause and reasonable suspicion, then you really need to educate yourselves on this, because if people turn a blind eye to this, this will be extremely dangerous. Moving right along, protect the due process rights of law-abiding Americans by ensuring emergency petitions filed by the Attorney General are only granted if the transferee receives notice of the hearing and has the opportunity to participate with legal counsel. If the court denies the Attorney General's petition, the federal government is responsible for all reasonable costs and attorney fees. Plain English? All right, well, we're going to give you an opportunity to come before us with counsel. And if you can't afford the thousands of dollars immediately that it's going to cost you to get your attorney to come here to Washington, D.C. while we try to charge you with something after the fact, well, then we gave you the opportunity. Too bad, so sad. And they're saying that protects due process. Also, it would require the Inspector General of the intelligence community to conduct an audit of the federal government's terrorism screening and the watch list procedures and identify any problems in the process of adding or removing individuals from the system. Based on the audit, the ICIG must then submit a report to the Senate and House Intelligence Committees with recommendations for improving the system. All right, guys and gals. If you remember a couple of years ago when all these terror lists and watch lists were popping off after 9/11, then you might remember that certain senators, era Ted Kennedy, their names were on the do not fly list. erroneously. And there were several people who were found out to be erroneously on these watch lists, but you can't get your names off of them. All right? It's impossible in some cases to get your names off of these lists if it's truly there in error. So they're going to put you on this list and because they don't like what you did. Let me expand on that more. The whole push right now since January 6th is to target everybody blanketly who happened to be in the U.S. Capitol as a bad person. Even if they did nothing wrong, they were there holding the U.S. flag or there to hear a president of the United States speak. Well, you were in that district, so therefore you must be terrible because you don't think the same way we do. And believe me when I tell you guys and gals, the cancel culture is absolutely real with this BS right now. I know people in the medical field who have been fired because they were in D.C. that day and weren't in the building. I also know other investigations that have popped off just because people were in the capital of their country and they're free citizens. This country has gotten weak. It's run by a bunch of jellyfish. So this bill, now resubmitted, will take everybody who was investigated for January 6th, and they're still not done investigating that. So you have several hundred arrests, I believe. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but several thousand people that were there being investigated are going to be labeled as a domestic terror investigation. So now you're going to have your Second Amendment rights revoked because of this bill if it were to go in through law. And then on top of that, you'll never know that you were on this list until it actually affected you. So, all right, maybe I don't buy a gun for the next 2-3 years. When I go to re-up my permit, is that going to trip something then 5 years from now? Now I got to go back and fight for my rights? I do go to buy a gun 2 years from now. Oh, sorry, you went to Washington, D.C. on January 6th, 2021. You no longer have your rights because you traveled to D.C. We'll give you an opportunity now to come to D.C. immediately for this hearing and bring your lawyer too. Oh, wait, you can't do that? Sorry, we're just going to revoke your rights. This is what it's becoming. It is cancel culture. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. And it is damn right criminal to do that to people. But this is what our elected officials think should be done. Now, last time this bill was submitted, it died in committee, and this needs to die in committee immediately. If you live in Florida, you might want to call your senator, Marco Rubio, and let him know that you're not too keen on him submitting legislation to violate people's rights because of an investigation. For those who aren't into the law enforcement side, investigations often, they cast a wide net, right? They'll talk to people who could have maybe been a witness or somebody who may or may not have been involved or might have information regarded to an incident. Well, those people are all part of an investigation. So does that mean they're wrapped up in an investigation for domestic terrorism if it just happened to be around the 6th? I don't know. I just think that this is appalling. As somebody who has always believed in doing the right thing, passing the man in the mirror test, especially when it came to law, to have something like this that could be bent and twisted behind the scenes and the individual never finds out about it until they go to purchase or exercise that right is about as un-American as it gets. Again, this is the Terror Intelligence Improvement Act. It's been resubmitted by Marco Rubio. I'll put a link down below to last year's version because the text is there from last year. I can't say that it's going to be the exact word-for-word bill, but generally when things are resubmitted, it's the exact carbon copy with a new date stamp. And as things progress, as it works its way through the Library of Congress and gets printed, I will have that link down below so that we can all be in the know. But guys and gals, let me know what you think down below. Let's do a question of the day. Do you think that some bill like this is actually copacetic? I mean, just look at all of the investigation problems that have come out since the Patriot Act, where people were part of investigations that shouldn't have, but then clearing up your name after the fact and finding a judge who's willing to side on your, be constitutional and side with you. These are all things that is not America. That's not what it's about. You're not like jammed up into a corner and then it's up to you to prove your innocence. We're innocent. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, and it's up to the government, whether it's the state, local, or the federal. It's up to them to prove your guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Not just, hey, we happen to investigate this clown, so now he doesn't get or she doesn't get their right to own a gun for the rest of their life. I mean, get out of here with that crap. But let me know what you think down below. Maybe you're for this bill, and I try to keep an open mind, and maybe I'll agree with you. Maybe not. More likely than not that I won't. But let's see what everybody else thinks down below. I'd love to hear from you, guys and gals. It is Monday. It's very late, but it's the Monday Morning Grind brought to you by Blackout Coffee. Please check out Blackout Coffee. They're a big supporter of this channel. They're a huge supporter of our troops, and they do a lot to fight veteran suicide. So if any of that resonates with you, please consider checking out Blackout Coffee. Small company here in America. It's a family, husband and wife, 2 kids, and they really, really care about our troops and our Second Amendment and our freedom. And I wish that you all could know them like I do. But please trust me. This family is solid, and please check them out down below, blackoutcoffee.com/GNG. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, always stay vigilant, and carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.